Hello YouTube, my name is Plazukas, and today's video is going to be on Stellar Blade. Before 2024 started, you would have thought that Final Fantasy VII would have pushed more PlayStation consoles than games like Rise of Ronin, Helldivers 2, or Stellar Blade. But based on the recent articles, it appears that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has not met its expectations internally. If it did, then chances are Square Enix would have been proud to state the numbers. Now, it doesn't mean that Final Fantasy VII is a failure. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a fantastic game, a once in a generation game, in my opinion, that deserves all the support and praise that it has received. However, that does not translate into PlayStation console sales. Rise of Ronin before the state of play was on everybody's top list for action adventure game of the year. Obviously, it was going to compete with Dragon's Dogma, and that was going to be difficult, but it had enough differences and from a studio that has the pedigree to really give the genre aficionados what they want. Unfortunately, it is not as graphically impressive as Ghost of Tsushima, not as complex as the Soul series, and just lacks that polish that PlayStation exclusives need in order to rise above the fray. So that leaves us with Helldivers 2, which in essence is a PC slash PlayStation exclusive. If it were just a PlayStation exclusive like Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Rise of Ronin, then I would say Helldivers 2 would win this crown. But that isn't the case. And I believe a lot of the sales that Helldivers 2 has had has been mostly on the Steam side, which then leaves one remaining contender, Stellar frickin' Blade. Whether on accident, a PR stunt, or something in between, the shadow release of the Stellar Blade demo and the various videos that have come from it, including the skin suit and all the other outfits and its combat kit, it has propelled Stellar Blade to the point where I can safely say it will be the console seller that Rise of Ronin and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth should have been. And I know before I get comments that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is not the most ideal candidate, as it had a previous iteration in Final Fantasy VII Remake. And those that wanted the PlayStation 5 console, specifically for the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, did so in the first iteration, Final Fantasy VII Remake. So therefore, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth most likely would have not have created an influx of new PlayStation 5 owners. So that's a fair point. Rise of Ronin, however, had all of the hype, all of the momentum. It's in a genre that has been extremely popular. The fact that it's open world with an online co-op mechanic only lends to its success, potentially. But unfortunately, it has fell short in its previews and it's become quite mild. It doesn't help that it's competing with Dragon's Dogma, which is also an open world that simulates multiplayer co-op with your pawns. And it has previewed relatively well. There is some concern with the performance and frame rate, but Rise of Ronin is not a graphically good-looking game, whereas Dragon Dogma 2 is. So it unfortunately has to compete with a much bigger, much more hype title. In contrast, Stellar Blade comes out the end of April and is in an environment where there isn't as many games, and most likely the games that came out earlier this year will have been finished by a good majority of the players, especially those who are interested in Stellar Blade. So it just creates this perfect opportunity for Stellar Blade to excel at a very high level. It's not until mid-May that we get Hellblade 2 for the Xbox, but that's in a completely different ecosystem with no indication that that game's coming for PlayStation. So I just think Stellar Blade is primed to be the console seller of 2024, especially with the news that Sony PlayStation will not be releasing any of the well-known franchises that they have had in the past. So that's all I wanted to say. My name is Plazuka. If you like this content, like, subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.